Welcome once again, and today we are going to look at how to straighten images in Lightroom CC. This is Bhaven here and thank you for coming to my channel. Let's get started. I'm sure you would say that, well, we have the crop tool. Yes and no, because the crop tool is good enough but not always sufficient to be able to straighten all types of lines and tilts in your image. I'm sure you've banged your head many times using the crop tool but not been able to straighten all lines in your image. So let's get started. Here is the first image and this is clicked in an auto rickshaw in Delhi. I am in the back seat and he is the driver. This metal partition is what separates us and it has horizontal and vertical lines. And as you can see, they are not straight. You can also see in this vertical line that there is a small curvature, which means that other than getting the tilt straight, I also need to straighten it out. It's almost like the curve of a rubber band that needs to be stretched. Let's start by going into develop module. D, that's the shortcut on your keyboard. And the first place to go is lens correction. And select enable profile correction. And voila. Did you see that difference? Let me uncheck and recheck. It not only made the edges of my image brighter, but it also straightened these small curvatures. These curvatures happen because of lens distortion and can easily be corrected in Lightroom. So this is the first place to start. Let's go into the crop tool now. You can do that either by selecting here on your screen, or the shortcut for that is R on your keyboard. So I'm going to press R and this grid indicates that I'm now in the crop tool. So let's start by trying to correct this horizontal line. Select the straighten tool and drag it across this line. Here you go. And yes, press enter. Lightroom has done an okay job. No, it's done a good job in fact. It has straightened this line. What do we do with this vertical lines now? Let's attempt using the crop tool once again. Enter crop tool, select the straighten line and try to straighten this vertical piece of rod. And yes, it has straightened that, but on the opposite side it has completely tilted the other side of the same metal frame. And I'm sure that you realize that the crop tool is probably not the right tool to do this. So I'm going to go back into the crop tool by pressing R and completely reset it. I'm going to quickly select the straighten tool and at least end up straightening this horizontal line. So the place to correct such tilts is the transform tool. And again, the best place to start is click auto. And yes, it's done a very good job. As you can see, it has straightened all the vertical lines. The tilt of this frame, which was on the opposite side, has suddenly been straightened. At the same time, of course, it has cut out parts of the frame, which always happens when you try to crop an image. So keep that in mind. Now let's go to another image. This is the famous India Gate in New Delhi and one of my favorite places to hang out. You can see two distortions right away. One is the curvature, which can instantly be corrected by going to lens correction and selecting enable profile correction. These lines have been corrected right away. And the second is that you can see a tilt in this image. Let's go into the transform tool. This time I'm not going to press on auto. Let's look at these sliders. The first one says vertical. So when I slide to the right, it tilts my image backwards further, and when I move it to the left, it tilts the image towards me, which is what I want to try to straighten the image. And I'm going to pull it just enough so that the tilt looks realistic. At the same time the structure looks straight. To help you, Lightroom also creates a grid for you so that you can work on your horizontal and vertical lines. This looks fine for me. I'm going to select constraint crop so that Lightroom crops the image for me on its own. Well, to give a quick idea of what the horizontal slider would do, this is what it does. It changes the perspective from the left towards the right. We don't need that here, so I'm going to let it rest at 0. Double click here. Let's go to still one more image, and here I'm going to show you one more functionality, which is very powerful and is a manual way to straighten your lines, especially the vertical ones. So, well, this is a narrow corridor, and slightly tilting the camera upwards, you can see that the walls on both sides are tilted towards each other and a very vertical slant is evident. So I'm not going to select the auto tool, I'm not going to use any of the sliders, but I'm going to go to what is called the guided lines. So you can select them from here as well as here. Your cursor allows you to draw a straight line like this and then one more. You need a minimum of 2 lines for Lightroom to be able to do its magic. Wow, wow, wow. The moment I left the second line, Lightroom automatically straightened out both these buildings. Click here, constraint crop, and you can see that both these walls are perfectly straight now. What an awesome job by Lightroom. To see what parts of my image have been cropped out, I can go into the crop tool. I'll do that by pressing R. And you can see that some parts here have been cropped out. It also allows you to recrop. Suppose that this is not how I want my image to look. I can probably crop it this way or any other way. So I hope this was useful to you and you learned something new. Thank you so much once again for your time. Please subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram, visit my website and come back to me on YouTube. Thank you, wish you all the best and happy clicking.